Okay, Marker, Insidious the Red Door review, guys. Get right to it. Action! What's going on, Alamo City Movie Talk fans? As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Ryan680.
I'm Angela, the cat lady Ange.
And this is Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. And if you have not already, be sure to like, share, subscribe to us on our Alamo City Movie Talk page. Be sure to give us a thumbs up on our review and hit that little subscribe and hit the little bell notification to get notified for movie reviews just like this, or trailer reactions that we got coming out. We got a lot of films reviews coming out, guys. And we also got new people joining with us very soon, so that's pretty exciting. Team's expanding a little bit. I'm really excited about that. Really good projects in the works for you guys. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. You know you want to, guys. And let's get right to it. Angela, what are we talking about today?
So we are talking about the 5th chapter in this franchise, Insidious, the Insidious Red Door.
Yes, the Insidious. You know, can you believe that this has been going on a long time? Since 2010, I believe.
Wow, 13 years.
Yeah, the very first Insidious movie. I just can't believe it. This is crazy. But yeah, Insidious the Red Door, ladies and gentlemen. The Lamberts must go deeper into the further than ever before to put their demons to rest once and for all. Now let's get right to it. If you have not, by all means, if you're hesitant or if you're like about watching this movie, guys, be sure to check it out. Out of theater reaction, which is real quick, a minute or two. I believe it's a little over 2 minutes long, but I'm hopefully you're in this review, so hopefully you're ready to talk about this, because we're going to go a little bit more in depth on the critique side of this, which we love to give and everything. So Angela, what was your official take out of this? Did you enjoy this movie? Were your expectations high? Were they going in? Because, the last two weren't too good. And granted, a lot of people like them for their certain degree because they like those jump scares and everything. But knowing after watching this film, what did you think of this movie?
So one of my biggest pet peeves with scary movies is that it relies totally on jump scares. Yeah. So I wasn't too thrilled with the last two. And I know they were more like prequels. They focused a lot around Elise, the older woman who helps them in the first movie. Yeah. She dies in the first movie. Mm-hmm. So when I was looking at this online before, trying to kind of recap everything, I had read that this movie, Chapter 5, is a direct sequel to number 2. Yes. Right after there, right? Yeah. So I was pretty interested because, the first two focused on the Lambert family, right? Mm-hmm. Specifically Patrick Wilson, the character Josh, and then Dalton, who's by Ty Simpkins. So I was kind of curious where they're going to go. How far in the future is this going to go, right? Yeah. So I was pretty excited about the timeline. I think they say it's like 9 years. He's in college, growing up, and you kind of see, I know you mentioned they kind of have their memory suppressed again at the end of the second one. Yeah. You kind of see how that plays out, right? Yeah. A lot of things happen in between there, and then these memories come back, right? And the demons come back, specifically the red-faced one, right? From the first one, the iconic scene, where he's behind Patrick Wilson. Yeah. So I was really excited to read all that, and then I was so pleasantly surprised by this film because, like I said, I'm not too much of a fan of those pointless jump scares. Jump scares are okay if they have a point. Yeah. But I feel like scary movies now have it like it's just there to just be there, right? Mm-hmm. This actually focused a lot on the story. Yeah, no, definitely. That's one of the things I really liked about the first one. I think that's why it was so popular, because it told a good story. James Wan was great at, building this universe, right? Yeah, of course. And so I really liked that Patrick Wilson is his first directorial debut. Patrick Wilson. He continued that story 9 years later, and I gotta say he did it pretty well. I'm really pleasantly surprised about it. Yeah, going into this movie, I had a little bit of high expectations here, but I was already going on a positive note, knowing that we both knew that Patrick Wilson directorial debut was here. A lot has potential here, right? We always talk about these movies because this is a franchise series, this is a franchise. This is like well into franchise. Yeah. And I'm going to compare this because this is very, very similar. Not as good, but very similar. And I feel like because of the fact that he actually acts in it as well, as an actor in that film as well. But I would compare this more so to the Conjuring world in that essence, because those elements are there. The creativity is there, guys. If you're going in, and I said it on Out of Theater Reaction, if you are going in for jump scares and you want to be terrified, you want to be frightened, this isn't the movie for you.
I'm going to say that right now, guys. If you guys are going in for that jump scares and just like want to be overthrown with dumb jump scares like Ya Llorona, which was a terrible Warner Brothers movie, not the Shudder one, the Warner Brothers movie, the Americanized one. That movie's just garbage. Whether you take whatever you like it or not, that's fine. But I'm telling you, it's garbage. I'm sorry.
Oh, tell me how you really feel.
It's garbage. But going back into this, I enjoyed the story. This has so much character development with every single character. Granted, not too much of the mom, but more so between the father and son relationship that we got in the last two. And I love the continuation. I love that it continues the story after chapter 1 or chapter 2, and it goes back to the roots of why and how this story was so good and so well put together. There's a lot of different horror elements I've never seen before that were really good. I thought they were, granted, they're not jump scares, guys. I'm going to let you know right now.
But
the creativity there is there.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, Patrick Wilson, if this is his first movie, I kind of feel that people are going to have this expectation, though, and I know, put on comments down below, because I guarantee you there's people expect to be thrown in with like these 30-minute jump scares, and this is not one of those movies, guys. I'm sorry, it isn't.
And I appreciate that it's not.
Yeah,
for his first movie, like you say, I feel like he wanted the story to be told.
I kind of feel like he did not want to make a movie just like jump scares, just like because the last two, that's all they were, and it had a little bit of story there. Granted, yes, it did. It continued it, yes, it did, and people watched it and they liked it. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't want his movie to be like the other ones, and I give him props for that. I give him that's a real stern and courage to do this as a filmmaker. The first time I saw him, and the most first film I saw him in was probably in history class, and I saw him in the Alamo remake with Dennis Quaid I liked him a lot. I mean, I really liked his acting chops here. I really enjoy him so much as Ed and Lorraine Warren in the Conjuring universe.
That's so good.
That series, that franchise is so great. James Wan has done a fantastic job. And he's done a fantastic job in the Insidious franchise as well. He plays the executive producer here. I'm pretty sure Patrick Wilson was coming to him, all the time, like, hey, should we do something like this? Should we do something like this? But the creative side comes out of Patrick Wilson, and you see it a lot in this movie. But I have a feeling fans are going to be kind of split on this because it's not like a huge jump scare of a movie. This movie's runtime is only an hour and 47 minutes. Can you believe that? It went by so quick. I felt like it rushed.
I felt like it could have been longer, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be longer.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this film. I'm kind of curious the way it ends. Yeah. If there's potential for others. Mm-hmm. I would really like to see Patrick Wilson take another stab at another sequel. And I would like him to continue the story further. Because, to be honest, you could. You could continue pushing it. Now, the question is, should you? Why not? If you do it right, why not, right?
Yeah.
So I got to say, I enjoyed the cast. It's really cool to see the kids kind of essentially grown up. Mm-hmm. Because it's been I think almost 10 years since the first and second ones happened. Yeah. So it's really cool to see that time and where they're at right now, and you see how all their lives have unfolded and stuff. So I really enjoyed that aspect, and I gotta say, if there is another one, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
it definitely gives it an open ending. There's kind of an end credit scene, guys. Sorry, I'll let you know there kind of is. It's not really a scene per se. It's more like a flick, if that makes any sense, without spoiling with you guys. But the budget for this movie was $16 million. Let's talk about that real quick. So Blumhouse is actually, this is kind of a ballsy move here, because Blumhouse isn't known to make that high of a budget for with their past ones, because they're on that mindset of I think it's like $10 to $5 million or less, and they're able to make so much money because that's how strict they are on their budgets. But the fact that they went to $16 million, I hope this movie makes a lot of money. I hope this movie makes a really good box office numbers opening weekend. But it is kind of weird to come out in July, a summer. Spooky seasons come early, I guess.
Well, yeah. I feel like I've seen already department stores are putting up their Halloween stuff. So never too early for that. And I got to say, I agree with you. I think, it's kind of crazy how this unfolded and how it's come so far. It's 5 movies in, and I think I could go strong even more. And I love Patrick Wilson anything he does. He's one of my favorites. Yeah. But I also really liked the acting of the grown-up Dalton, Ty Simpkins.
Ty Simpkins, yeah.
And I think like when I first saw him on screen, I was like, okay. And I didn't realize how old or how much time had passed. Now, he's not old by any means, but no. I was just like, wow, this is the same kid from the first movie and two movies. And I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. Yeah. Time's passed, He's
also the same kid in Iron Man. He was a little boy in Iron Man.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, in Iron Man 3, I believe. So, yeah, there you go. Endgame, I believe. Yeah,
yeah, so, very briefly.
Yeah, very briefly. So, came out of Insidious, The Last Key. So, this guy's known to be in a lot of movies. And I got to tell you, man, he did a really good job. Yes. I enjoyed his character. I enjoyed his acting in here. I really enjoyed it. And also his counterpart that was in this movie, which I liked. That was the thing about this film, is that they created a story arc. They created a story for this new characters. It's not like the worst way you could do it is probably, and again, I talk about it all the time, Last Jedi. Rose with John Boy. It just did not work out at all. Well, expected, but with this character here, with Chris Sinclair Daniel, she did a really good job. Oh man, I loved her comedy in here, and it was very intuitive. So great.
She's cool.
We talk about this so many times when the comedy of horror and all this, they make too much jokes in horror films, or they just don't take that serious level that I feel like it needs to take. And I feel like with this film, they did. Patrick Wilson did a good job directing. I feel like this was a well-directed movie, guys. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling though, on the fence, people are not gonna like it because of the fact that it doesn't have all these jump scares. This is probably the least jump scare of the franchise.
And in no means is it boring.
No.
And they say because it doesn't have the jump scares. I just feel like it tells more of a story, which is how, in my opinion, scary movies should do.
Yeah.
Fine, you can have the jump scares. Yeah. Fine.
Because there are jump scares in here.
But
don't get me wrong.
To just have it just be relying solely on that, with no story or not a very well developed story, that's my caveat for horror movies. This actually had a lot of good story, and it drew from past movies as well as continuing the story in the future. So I really liked it. I think it was a good balance. I think it was a good balance with horror. Definitely. It wasn't just jump scares. It actually had elements of horror that were creepy.
Definitely.
And everything. So I think he did a very well job.
I felt like I just got done watching another Conjuring movie in a great way, because I've enjoyed every single one of those movies, and they leave me greeting like, oh, this is such a good film. When you get that little rush of like this is a satisfying movie.
Dang,
it really is.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Was this the fun that we deserve? We'll say yes. Hell yes, it is. Rating 1 out of 10. Tell me the highest, Hunter. We didn't give this rating. Now, we talk about the positives in this movie, but I got to give you into perspective here. This is probably not the best out of the franchise, I would say. Out of respect for Patrick Wilson and everything, I would think James Wan, the first one's going to be the best one for me. Yep. First or the second one. I'm stuck between the two because they both have...
I have to rewatch the second one.
Yeah, like they're both so damn good.
But so it's right there.
Come on. If you're going to lose to the master, James Wan. Patrick Wilson, he probably was the apprentice of James Wan. James Wan taught him to do all these things, and I just love it. And Patrick Wilson, by all means... He's an actor that's been around for a long time, and he's learned a lot. And I feel like if this is a film for him to start his directorial debut in horror or in anything, this is a good start.
He did a good job.
Yeah, solid job. Rating 1 out of 10, Angela. What do you give this rating?
I would give it a solid 7 because I enjoyed the characters, the character development, the story, the writing, the effects too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
all the ties to the previous movies. I loved it. Really cool. I loved it. And
it was like a weird nostalgia.
Yeah. Like there were so many moments that where I was like, oh man, I remember that. Like seeing that for the first time, or so it's really cool to see how it brings back elements from the previous movie. So I really enjoy that. So a solid 7 in my book.
Nice. I'm gonna give it a solid 7.5. There's a lot of these different approaches that he took with horror that I thought was really good. When we go in the past, we talk about that with the nostalgia, right? So there's this one scene where I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but there's this one scene where it shows a history of the past two movies, and it shows how it connects, because the last two did that, and it shows how it connects, but it connects it in a different way that I never saw on camera. Very different models here, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed what he was doing here. I enjoyed his filmmaking, his direction that he was going with, the approach that he was going with as well. Patrick Wilson, he's an A-list actor, and I can't wait to see what more he puts out as a filmmaker or as an actor, because he's going to come out of The Conjuring, which comes out very, very soon. So I can't wait to see that. But yeah, definitely I'm gonna leave it at 7.5. We do recommend this movie, guys, because we're giving it above average rating. We do recommend this movie. And yeah, any final thoughts, Angela?
Give it a try. Like I said, as much as, I know people enjoy those jump scares and it may not have the same abundance as some other previous popular films. Give it a shot. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. For a fifth chapter in this, it's going to pleasantly surprise you.
That red demon, though, is still scary to this day. It's still
I know we've seen it. And, I know we it's not like an element of surprise anymore. We all know what it looks like, right?
We expect it. But it's cool. Okay, put on comments down below. Nothing will top the first time you saw that. The little mini Darth Maul. Nothing will top that.
That was pretty cool.
That was creeping me out. Put on comments down below if that creeped you out the first Insidious, because it did, and it stuck with me. It has and will always. All right, guys. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. As always, I'm your host, Ryan D. Call me Ryan680.
I'm Angela Dakadian.
It's Alamo City Movie Talk, guys. And if you have not already, once again, be sure to hit that subscribe button, guys. And thank you for making us a part of your day. Stay safe, San Antonio. Catch you later. Peace.